Hey everybody. Hi. Thanks for coming. I had a little bit of an issue. I turned on my computer and it decided to say, do something in the background, press F1, do this. I went, oh, no, I don't have time for this now. Oh, and hang on a second. I forgot. There we go. All sorted. But yes, I'm here. Now, I've invited a few people along today. We'll see who shows up, if anyone shows up, otherwise you're stuck with me. Crow was going to come on in, but unfortunately he's not feeling too well at the moment. So I've told him to get some rest. And I'm not even sure what time it is over there, guys. I would assume dinner time, roughly. It's 11 a.m. here in sunny Queensland. Look, I wanted to touch on quite a few little bits and bobs today. The first thing, I wondered how many of you saw my Sutro Tunnel episode yesterday. I put that together. It's taken me a while to put that together. It was I put it together one way and then I wasn't happy with it, and then I'd try again, and there's so much in regards to the Sutro Tunnel to talk about that I thought, oh gosh, where do you stop? So I thought, you know what, I'll just stop where I did, and I put that episode up because I think there are many places you can go to read up on the Sutro Tunnel, of course, but I just sort of thought to myself, I'll stop where I am and leave it at that. But if you guys have got any questions about the Sutro Tunnel and the supposed hauntings and so on and so forth, feel free to ask me, and I'll do my very best to pay attention to the chat instead of going off on one of my blah, blah, blah little tangents. Hey, Cheryl, Betty, Stephanie, Fairy Dragon. I'm wearing a crown today, but it's sort of falling off. I thought I disappointed Tanya last week because I only had flowers in my hair. So we'll see if this crown stays on. What else? Who else is here? Ace FLA, hello. Yes, anyone can drop their link on my channel at the moment, so long as it's never anything to say, hey, come on over to my channel now, I'm going live. Or, hey, come on over to my channel now, my premiere is just starting. I've had some people do that. Hey, Joe. Yeah, I know, Tanya, is it straighter now? It was... I don't know. I got ready in such a hurry. I took the dog for its bath this morning at the pet shop. And then when I was in the pet shop, I got a bit carried away. There were baby chickens and there were chickens and there were baby kittens and a baby carpet python. I nearly thought about the baby carpet python. I can't even say it this morning, but I didn't. Yes, my halo is slipping. Watch out. But yeah, so I've had one of those mornings where I was supposed to have everything done before I started, and I did. I got home, but then as I say, I turned my computer on and the computer was saying something about the BIOS and this and that. I went, oh, I don't have time for this now. So I'm here. I fixed it. It's all done. But yeah, and as I say, Crow was going to come along today, but he's not feeling too well. I have invited a couple of others, but they might be too busy as well. So we'll see what happens. And either way, I've got plenty to chin wag about, so it's all good. Yeah, so far as the Sutro Tunnel episode that I put up yesterday, when I was at the Sutro Tunnel, the property, well, as you can imagine, it used to be a town. Once upon a time, it was a township. So the property itself is quite enormous. I don't know if they still have the full property. I think some of it over the years has been sold off and they're building houses nearby. So, but other than, it's massive. The pond where... for those of you who may not have watched the episode, or for those of you who may not know, hey Enzo, I'll let you in. Hang on, Enzo's here, guys. My favourite chinwagger. Hey Enzo.
Hello.
I was just telling everybody I popped up an episode yesterday on my channel about a place called the Sutro Tunnel.
I watched it. It was very cool. I liked it.
Oh, Thank you. Did you like my little bobblehead? I shall build a tunnel. I thought I'll pop a bobblehead in. Yeah, but for those of you who don't know, the Sutro. So Virginia City is a mining town, or was, still has mines there, and I believe people still work some of the mines. But when the mines, as they started to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, the mines were filling up with water, which is good to know there's water there if you need it, I suppose. So they were pumping that out of the tunnels. I'm not sure where they were pumping it to, but they were pumping it out, which, here goes my cat again. I tell you what, it's you, Enzo. They've been out all morning. Now they're going crook. But so the water was getting pumped out, but very expensive. And Adolf Sutro, he had something to do with the mining as well, that he was making money that way. But he came up, because he was a mining engineer, he came up with the idea of the tunnel. So he figured, well, if I build the tunnel, we can drain the water out, which makes more sense, drain the water out, and it would go into a big pond in the Sutro township, which is what he did. So when you would walk into that tunnel originally, there would be one side that you could walk up, and the other side was like a flowing creek. It was just all the water. So then eventually they built like a wooden footpath over it. So then they could use that tunnel, and they could go through that tunnel from Dayton all the way up to Virginia City and deliver stuff and go for rides. Like, it's only 4 miles. It's not very long.
Oh yeah, but it's still pretty ingenious to do that. Because how long ago was that? What year was that they were doing it?
18. Oh, now see, I've just made the bloody thing on. I forgot. 18.
It was late 1800s, anyways.
Yeah, the late 1800s. I'm just trying to think. I did know the answer. Sorry, look at my. I'm so knowledgeable. 18. Let me think. 1869 they started it, finished it in 79. So it took 10 years to build, like to get there. Yeah. But when I was there, it's ingenious, and they're starting to they don't know how they'll go, because they've had drones go in to see what's happening along the way. They're wishing to get as far as going back right all the way to Virginia City, but they don't know how much it's collapsed, etc. So it's one of those things. But yeah, when I was there, I had a look around, and there was a ghost hunting crew there doing ghost hunting, and I'm still skeptical. Yes, I go ghost hunting, and yes, I believe there's something odd. But I'm still skeptical, So when people come up with stories about, supposedly this one haunts this place and this one haunts that place, I want to know why. Like, why that person would haunt that place. Like, why? Like, why would they be here? So, So in regards to Sutro Tunnel being haunted, there's stories, and I listened to a lot of them that night. And then I just sort of broke away from that crowd and went off on my own little walk with Taylor, who, as you saw, was in the episode. But I don't know if anyone's got any questions. I'm really terrible. I've been yapping away. This is what I do, Enzo, isn't it? I yap. It's all right. Everyone's just sort of saying hello.
All right. Yeah, it's but that was pretty ingenious, though, to do that, to get that water out of the mines, which needed to be done anyway. And what do you do with it? They're mining silver out of those mines mostly, right?
Yeah. I think they first went there thinking, yay, we've discovered gold. And they did. But there was like, I'm not quite sure, it's like a bluish color, like a sloppy, yucky remnants that they were getting when they were getting the gold. And they discovered later that what they were throwing away as rubbish was actually silver. So then they've gone, oh my God, all right. And then then they started to mine the silver up there. But then the funny thing is, when Sutro finally finished the tunnel, all of the silver ore and all that sort of thing was starting to dry up. Like, it was mining in Virginia City was starting to sort of go so it didn't get used as much as it possibly could have, and it is a shame that they never maintained it. It is a real shame, because it cuts off a lot of time.
That was sad to hear.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that you don't think of it then, but much later down the road, when it becomes interesting again, they're like, oh, geez, it's all wooden buildings and it's all falling apart.
Yep. And there's Stephanie watched the episode. Yeah, there's the Sutro had a big mansion that he built there. It was kind of like he didn't actually own it. The Sutro company owned the mansion, but that burnt down in 41, I believe Taylor told me. And now the cats are playing with their balls. So if you hear Ginger Jackals, the cats playing with their balls. But yeah, so that it's an absolute pity that that's not still standing there. But they bought another large house onto the property, and in the episode I talked about that house is supposed to be haunted, and I spoke with Taylor about it and I said, but why is that house haunted? Because it was only ever belonged to one family, and I'm assuming much like possibly the Sally house or the Finney house as I prefer to call it, maybe it's just the very fact that of course back in the day people died at home. So maybe someone passed away in the house when it was thriving and whatever. But I couldn't. I did delve into the history of the house, but I didn't bother putting anything about it in the episode because there's really not anything to tell.
Right.
Nothing so far as I could find out had happened that was terrible in the house. I do know, and I can't say too much about it because sometimes you get told things and you get told don't talk about it. But it'll be interesting to see once the episode comes out, then I might talk about it. But a rather well-known ghost hunting group of people went there to investigate, and I am sure they will find a demon or an evil spirit.
My EVP meter's going crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, but that's what I mean. Now, I'm sure they will. But so far as I could figure out, if Sutro's haunted, the tunnel may well be, but there were 12 documented deaths, but they can't say for certain whether those men passed away within the confines of the tunnel or whether or not that happened for other reasons. So although they're documented deaths at Sutro, it doesn't say minor killed or whatever. But I would say that probably it may have happened. I mean, that was very commonplace back in the day for people in the mines to have accidents and pass away. But
it's very dangerous.
Yeah, and they paid. They died of other things as well. So what are you going to do?
And maybe a few more accidents during their whiskey breaks. They would have sometimes during the day.
I would think so, but
it's actually reach behind me on this table and bring out this bottle of whiskey. This is one of my favorites out of a place in Colorado, out of Denver, Colorado, and they went with the traditional style for Colorado because Colorado has a lot of mining camps in it as well, where it has this little tin cup that they would pass the bottle around to the miners while they were on their break, and then they'd pass it off to the next guy. But
well, maybe that's I mean, if you drank a fair bit,
little drinking on the job.
Oh dear me. Hey Heather. Oh, where is she? Heather's coming to Brisbane today. I'm trying to find her. Where are you, Heather? Heather. Come hither with Heather. Heather is heading to Brisbane, and I'm going to take her to the Australia Zoo on Monday. I'm sure she's just chomping at the bit to do that. But it's a great zoo. It's a great zoo. So I'll take her for a drive. It's a bit of a hike, but it's a nice drive. So what the hey? Might see little Robert Irwin wrestle a crocodile if we're lucky. Although he was there, I've heard rumours that he's going to move to Perth with his girlfriend. I can't have that. No, I think the girlfriend should move from Perth to here.
Is that Steve Irwin's son? Is
Yeah,
that who
Steve
that is?
Irwin's little boy. Yeah, I find it a little hard to believe that rumor, only because he's so invested in the zoo and the works of
Right.
his father. But love makes you do strange things. But anyway, if I were the girlfriend, I'd say, I'll come and live at the zoo. They live at the zoo. What better
They
place to
live
live?
there?
They
Wow.
live there. So the zoo's there and their house is sort of out the back somewhere, I guess. But yeah.
I guess it would depend on the way the wind was blowing, if you wanted to live
Oh,
there.
Heather, he's far too young for you. There's no wrestling young Robert. He looks very much like his daddy. It's yeah, and it's funny when you go there, Enzo. When I went there, because I loved Steve Irwin, I just thought he was fantastic.
Oh, everybody did.
When you go there, his pictures are everywhere, and it's crikey, and it's whatever. It's just everywhere, so you can't help remember him. Not that you forget because you know where you're going, but it's kind of like a happy, sad place because it's a happy place. It's a zoo and there's lots of cute animals, but it's sort of sad to think that he really should still be here. Like he's, what a bastard of a way to go. But yeah, so be it. Now, Enzo.
Yes.
So much with the I can't remember that other thing. UFOs. What is it? AUOs. UAP.
UAPs and
That's it.
UFOs,
UFOs.
USOs,
Aliens.
UFO, or I don't know.
Yeah. I just yes, Heather, definitely investigation if we can find some. I know where to go, but it depends whether or not you've got time. What? Can't hear me? What? Hang on a
I
second.
hear you just fine.
I'll just see if I think I've got my mic all. Is that any better? There you go. How's that? I know Enzo can hear me all right, but
yeah, it sounds the same to me. But
okay, well, we'll see. Hopefully, I've turned it up. I think I'm closer.
Right.
What was I saying? Yes, I shared with Enzo. There's another channel I watch called The Nerd Report. Now, normally Lewis doesn't. Lewis, who it's his channel. Normally, he sort of more talks about true crime and things like that. But somebody sent him a video which I shared with Enzo. And it's been all over the normal news now, apparently. I haven't been watching the normal news, but a couple of weeks ago, Lewis did a little report with a video that he was shared with him from Peru, of all places, a little township right smack dab in the middle of Peru, where they were claiming, I can't say the Spanish word for it because I'm not Spanish, but they were claiming that some kind of alien, which they were dubbing the face peeler, was attacking the township and harming the residents. And there was footage of the residents screaming and running and chasing this thing, and guns, bang, 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 like it was real footage. I mean, it's the footage itself is real. They're definitely frightened of something, but there was a second lot of footage that come out where they were supposedly shining a torch on this being on some kind of rooftop. But after further looking at it, I think Enzo's of the same opinion as me. There may have been something on there that drew them to put their torch up and shine. But I think the way the torch is moving sort of erratically, I'm pretty sure it's a tree. Like it's a tree with the limbs of the tree that are in such a, what's the word for it, Enzo, where you think
pareidolia.
Yeah. And but having said that, I am in no way, shape, or form saying something's not going on there. There's definitely something scaring those people. And it's fascinating to me. Their military did go there, Enzo. Did you hear about that?
I did. I was going to ask if you'd heard the latest.
Yeah, you can tell the latest. I know the latest, but feel free.
An article in the La Publica, which is a news outlet there in Peru, where the public ministry did send some investigators out there. And apparently this is how remote this place is. I guess it takes a few days to travel up the river by boat for these investigators to get there.
Mm.
where they are. They're very, very deep into the jungle there where this little village is. And they kind of gloss it over pretty quick, basically blaming it on illegal miners and mafia types that are moving in and trying to mine gold and stuff like that in the area. But there's this odd thing. Let me see if I can find the article here. Let me see. The actual quote is all right. He stated that there are illegal miners and foreign mafias that are dedicated to the illegal extraction of gold and that operate in different towns in the Laredo area. Laredo is the general region that they're in. In addition, he narrated that the alleged subjects responsible for the attacks use high-tech equipment, such as jetpacks, that allow them to rise and descend in the air. This verifies the version of a teacher who witnessed an attempted kidnapping of a minor, and that's MINOR, and described what was mentioned above. And because there was a school teacher that supposedly saw one of the aliens come down and like grab a kid and were trying to fly away with it, but he squirmed away at the last second. But according to the investigator, it's illegal miners and mafia types with jetpacks zooming around, scaring the locals. Jetpacks? That's not really an effective thing. I mean, even like the ones that used on TV and movies back in the 60s and 70s, and even the ones today that they have, which they're a novelty, they're a knockoff thing. They only can like fly around for like maybe a minute, maybe two.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
And look, some people are getting confused. Just before I go on, Maisie Rose is a subscriber, a friend from Scotland, and she's just said she's missed me, which is lovely, but she's asking who the eye candy is. That's you, I believe, Enzo.
I don't know who that would be.
It's Enzo.
It's all in the shirt. It's all the shirt. It's
but yeah, I just a lot of people were sort of saying, they're in the middle of nowhere. How can they even have phones? What would they even know? I'm like, dude, yes, they're in the middle of nowhere, but obviously they've got phones because they were using them to get help.
Right.
They're not savages. They're not.
Yeah, it's
and stuff. It's a township. They live there. You can get there. They're isolated, but they know. They would know the difference between a miner or the cartel. Like
miners with jetpacks.
Miners with jetpacks. So there's
no, supposedly they were wearing masks, like an alien mask is what they're saying. Flying around on jetpacks and scaring people, trying to abduct them and stab them in the neck and things like that.
And then someone else said that they had what was it? Only yesterday it came out that now I'm not sure I believe this report because there's nothing substantiated with it yet, but apparently certain areas of Peru are now being locked down by the military and the police, and I'm like, I'm not sure what I think about that one, but I think
that's Peru. That happens quite often, I would think.
Well, it is Peru. I mean, who knows? Maybe let's play devil's advocate. It could be some kind of cartel or some kind of illegal goings on, and they're trying to scare the locals and doing something to scare them, to keep them away from what it is they're doing.
Which, and I agree with you. I was with him with that until I read the extended article where it's and the flying around part, they're on jetpack, because that's the thing with. We didn't really address it earlier. If anyone's not familiar with this story of these, they describe these aliens that are attacking them as being around 7 feet tall and floating, never touching the ground. They're always floating around, apparently riding around on something similar to what the little hobgoblin on the Spider-Man movies flies around on, and they're zipping around through the sky and swerving through all the jungles and stuff like that. I feel that it's still for the most, because some of the videos we saw where they formed up a posse to go hunt down them aliens, and they're literally just shooting blindly into the jungle with rifles. So I think they're more in danger from being caught in a crossfire than anything else.
Oh,
And
look,
it's certainly, you get any of the videos you see coming out of there done by the villagers, everyone's in a panic. I mean,
yep,
it's just crazy.
yep. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't believe the narrative that their government's put out. That sounds like a lot of either they didn't look, but they went there, so they must have looked. Either they couldn't be bothered, or maybe they had found something and just don't want to tell everybody else. Maybe they've been told not to tell anybody else. Who the hell knows? You know, which leads me to Paul Grush, poor little Mr. Grush. Far out. Those BS bastards, like, leave the man alone. Again, people, I don't know if you know, what's it? David, isn't it? David Grush.
Yes, David Grush.
He gave evidence in front of Congress to explain that he believes the government is hiding all sorts of alien paraphernalia and craft, etc. Anyway, blah blah. You can watch it yourself.
Yeah.
But he said at the hearing that yes, he had been threatened with lots of heinous type things, and he didn't go into it. Basically, I would dare say whoever's hiding all of this sort of stuff is threatening him and saying, "We'll ruin you. Dare to put our names out there, and we'll ruin you." And because you've got it goes on, and we'll get there in a minute. But basically, anyway, so yesterday, day before, they started, whoever they are, have released his private, like that's his business, medical records. That,
well, it's not exactly his medical records, because in the U.S. we have HIPAA laws where hospitals can't release actual medical records showing diagnoses and whatever that kind of thing. What it really was is basically someone did an information request to the local sheriff department around where he lives, looking for, and this is not one of those things I feel like any reporter would specifically call the sheriff. It's like, what did you have on the blotter during this block of time? Someone was tipped off that basically it was a domestic dispute with his wife, and he was making threatening allegations, supposedly, and was basically put into a they call it different things in different states. Basically was put under basically had to spend the night in a mental observation area of the hospital. Usually that comes in when there's threat of self-harm or something like that, where he's not actually committed a crime, but they feel he may be a danger to himself. And that usually will just take like one slip of the tongue to get it. And basically it could also, the way that the police work is that might have been an excuse just to get them out of the house. If they're, let everybody cool down or whatever, hey, you're going to spend the night at the hospital and they're going to look at you and say, hey. So now we don't know the level of, any of what happened at the hospital or what any of that's true or not exactly, but apparently he did spend time in the hospital under
under a medical, like a mental health act. But the point is, he's any person who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, who's married, like a serving, I'm talking military men, and
Right.
and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're a military. Well, we're a military.
Yep, you're right.
My experience is when some of these boys have experienced this and get the post-traumatic stress, it's extremely hard on their partners, extremely hard. And it's hard for them because they don't necessarily always get the help that they should be getting to control this. It's a big problem here in Australia. It's a big problem in the UK. And I would assume it's a big problem in America, where these boys do their job, they serve, they do their job, they see something horrendous or whatever causes that post-traumatic stress. And so that incident that you're referring to me, it's like, well, so what? So what? He wasn't coping, and that's what happened to help him cope. And it may have been a one-off. It might have been 3 times that happened. Who knows? But he didn't hurt his wife, did he? He didn't get arrested for hurting his wife. He was sick. He was unwell, and he got some help. But to actually try and sully his name that way is disgusting. Number two, having post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't make you a liar. Like, it doesn't make you
it's
make up aliens and spaceships. So I find it disgusting that they've done that to him.
it's certainly mudslinging and digging into his past to try and throw anything at him to make him look bad. One of the interesting things that was pointed out too is at no point during this particular episode, because this was years ago that this occurred, he did not lose his security clearance. If there's any kind of hint of a mental instability with somebody, that's gone. That's going to be the first thing that happens. You're probably not going to be, and if that's part of your job is working intelligence and stuff like that, you're not going to have it to that job anymore.
Yeah, no, they'll kick you out straight away. Yep.
So, but that didn't happen. It did not affect his job performance or anything like that. This was a one-time thing. It was probably more of an excuse for the police to keep the two parties separated so they could cool down, kind of a thing. And best for both parties, I'm sure, in the long run, whenever there's a domestic dispute like that, because the police can't really pick sides, and there has to be very specific things, marks of violence and threats and things like that. It's complicated.
When you're in the services, generally, if that sort of thing continues to happen, that's when you get a discharge. You get discharged on medical grounds, medical discharge, and he didn't.
Right.
And he had one of the highest jobs. So good work, guys, whoever the baddies are, but not good enough.
But people are lining up on the UFO side. It's like, you see, he's crazy. Or there's a lot, I feel from my observation, a lot more people going, what the F is up with this? Why? What are you doing? This is minor stuff.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Could happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody. I mean, we've all had, Jesus Christ, if you ever walked past my house when I was married, you should have heard me. Like, we've all had arguments with our spouses or partners. Whoop, of course, no fisticuffs, although you might want to. But nothing like that. Just throw a plate or whatever. Oh, look, my halos. Watch out, slipping again. I just saw.
I thought you were going to pull a Wonder Woman and make that a weapon and like sling it at him across the room.
I see someone in here, Natu, is that how I pronounce it? Just give me a thumbs up if that's right. Natu Haunted, asking if there were other investigators in here. There's tons of us. We just lurk. My channel is like soup. It's all mixed. It's like a vegetable soup. I consider aliens and that sort of thing in that paranormal realm because, well, it is. We can't explain it yet anyway. So I talk about all sorts, and I talk about hauntings. I talk about the history of places. So it's sort of a mixed bag. And Enzo's the same, aren't you, Enzo? He knows tons about all different sorts of things. He's like, I like Enzo. I think he's like a little encyclopedia. Do you remember those, Enzo? Yeah, look at that. Do you remember encyclopedias?
Oh, yeah.
Where they'd come and knock on your door and try and sell you the whole set.
When I was a kid, my dad bought it was the 1974 New World Book Encyclopedia set, and it was great fun as a kid. Just sometimes, because we didn't have the internet back then, that you wanted to know something, go to the encyclopedia, flip it open, look it up, you learn some stuff. You learn later in your life, you can't really go back to that because it's outdated after a few years, but that's the downside of it. But
I used to love it. My grandpa used to drive a truck, and he worked for a company that recycled paper. So every now and then he'd bring me home little encyclopedias or whatever, and I'd say, "Where'd you get those, Grandpa?" And here, I don't know if you have the same saying in America, but in England and here we have the saying, "Oh, it fell off the back of a truck." In other words, he stole it. But I didn't know. I just used to think, geez, Grandma has a lot of things at home.
You'd think they would like close the
Yeah.
tailgate or secure it somehow. But yeah, I'm familiar with yeah, it's a damaged goods. That's why it was so cheap. It's got a little scratch right here on the serial number. That's
Oh, geez. And Maisie Rose, I see you're still not feeling too well. Please get better. Maisie's in Scotland, Enzo. She's the one that reckons you're eye candy. You are a bit of eye candy. Yeah, it's good to have some eye candy.
It also explains being sick. But, I'm sorry, being sick.
No, she's not.
Thank you very much. I hope you get well.
Her eyesight's fine, isn't it, Maisie? I think so. Sunsaver says that they had the World Book Encyclopedia set too. Yeah. I used to love going. Now hardly anybody has books. I still love to sit and read a book and turn the pages, but yeah, I've tried using one of those. You can read it on what are they called?
On your tablet, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the same. I don't like it.
It really isn't. And when you're done, like if you have the physical book and you really enjoy it, and you want to share. Oh, I'm a super nerd right here.
Well, hang on. And what are you saying yes to, Maisie?
This is my real background. This is how nerdy I am.
Yeah, well, I should have that background too because I'm a Star Trek nerd. I think that Maisie is either saying yes, you're a nerd. Oh, that's a good one, Doctor Who.
We'll go Tom Baker era Doctor Who.
Yeah, I like that. But I think she's like, Maisie's either saying yes, you're a nerd, or yes, there's something wrong with her eyesight. Either way, it's an insult.
Time for a new prescription, I think.
Natu. How would you say that, Enzo? Natu?
I would say, yeah,
Natu. I'd really like to know if people feel as I do about REM pods. I feel they're useless. A lot of these Hollywood haunting channels have ruined it for me. My personal opinion, and I'll let Enzo give his. My personal opinion is I don't own one, but I've investigated with people who do. I think I wouldn't waste my money because I was at a place, and I won't say where because I'll ruin everyone's episodes when they come up, but I went to investigate a place and it was going off all the time. Turned out to be a CB radio from not far away. All right. But so truck CB radios, and I don't know if Joe's still in here, but Joe will attest to this. I think they're just, don't bother.
Things like that are monitoring electromagnetic waves in your region. A lot like, because I made comment earlier, what is the thing called? Where it picks up energy or magnetic waves or whatever it is. I keep wanting to say EVP, but I know it's not the
EMF. The EMF.
Yeah, the EMF detector. It's kind of in that same thing where it can be a useful device where if you have electricity that's on in a building, you can pick out where the wires are with it on the wall and all that. But those things will go off the second you get anything that emits electromagnetic waves, like your cell phone or CB radio or things like that may not be there all the time. CB is especially tough because if someone has a large transmitter in their rig and they just happen to be driving by, you're gonna see that spike, but it's not a constant spike because they're gonna drive out of range, or it only happens when they key the mic. And so normally it's like, oh, it went from nothing and look at all this activity. Oh, now it's gone again. It can be explained by something else. So that's not that reliable of a tool. Now, if you're way out in the middle of nowhere and there's no electricity to the building and everyone is secured their cell phones and other electronic devices where there's going to be zero interference, all right, that's a very controlled environment and maybe there's something to it. But in most cases, there's something else you could come up with.
And that was the other thing, like the EMF EMF device that's an electrician's tool to pick up, those you can put it in the wall and know where the wires
Right.
are, that sort of thing. I don't know what I think about those in regard to picking up ghosties. But even with those, my mobile phone was setting it off.
Oh yeah.
Just my mobile phone. If something happened on that, or cell phone, and I was recording with my phone, using it as a camera, and then I had the little thing. So with the phone, I don't know what the phone was doing, and it was on airplane. Oh, all right, there was two things happened. One, it was on airplane mode, and I don't know why, but whenever I would put the meter towards it, the meter would go off. And the other thing that happened was I forgot to turn the phone to airplane mode, and the EMF thing was going mental. We all, it was my bad. We all go like, oh my god, there's wow, that's coinciding with things. Wasn't. It was coinciding with the fact that my phone was saying, you've got mail. It wasn't saying it, but I was getting emails and stuff. And so every time that would happen and there was a spike in my phone because an incoming message, off would go the EMF thing. So I don't know. I'm not convinced any of that equipment does anything really. I'm not. However, sometimes when it's all at the same time, like you might have the EMF thing go off at the same time a REM pod does. I'm pretty sure they both work on different.
I've never used either one of them, but I was under the impression they both were picking up the same thing. I mean, it would pick up.
If that's the case, then that could be a truck in the background. That's what I mean. You don't. It's really hard. The only thing that I put any trust in is recordings, like getting a voice, an EVP. Right. And I don't trust the ones where it's like, and they go, oh, blah, 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 and I'll go, no, it just was
every EVP, I can never understand if it's on a TV show and they have the little caption at the bottom saying what it's supposed to be saying. Sometimes I'll watch a show and all it covers like, okay, what do I think they're saying? I can't. It sounds like gibberish. It says, "I'm still here," or whatever it is. And it's like, I'm not hearing it. I don't know. I'm the worst. I'm also really bad at seeing faces and clouds and things like that, like we were talking about earlier. But maybe it's just me. I don't know. But listening thing, I mean, as a career, 24 years of being around jet engines, my hearing is not the best. So I'm the last person to comment on EVPs.
D, yes, it is proximity. So if someone touches it, yes, it goes off, but it also goes off with signals from the CB radios and such. It absolutely does, without a doubt. So if a truck comes past, or even let's just say the investigation I was doing, we were thinking, oh my God, it's going off, there's something touching it, blah, 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 but it was absolutely somebody, because we went out and checked and we found the person. Well, we didn't talk to them, we knew what they were doing, were talking on their CB radio, and every time they did, off went the REM pod. So it doesn't just pick up. And Joe Entity 7 Paranormal will absolutely back me up on that one, because he knows that happens. So yes, proximity, you've got to touch it to set it off, and that's what you see people doing. But also it could be somebody a mile away using a CB radio, and the signal, it also picks up on that. So that's why, yeah.
I feel all these things may have a purpose and could be useful, but you have to be skeptical that you have to get rid of all the other things it could have been if it's going bananas like that.
And that's why when it was going bananas and we thought, oh God, then we realized, hang on a second, let's go see. So we went to see and found out what it was. And so there you go. Yeah, and the phone apps, all those sorts of things. Oh, look, my personal opinion is I don't touch the phone apps, the ones like, oh, what are they all called? You know, all those freaking spirit things, and because it's
Spirit
all,
boxes.
yeah, spirit box. It's all a man-made apparatus that has got words programmed into it, which works effectively randomly. So random words, demon, hell, die, like they're random words that are going to get spat out. So I don't. It's just random. The radio thing, is that the spirit box, Enzo, where the little
Yeah, it's randomly scanning radio, commercial radio frequencies, and supposedly if the spirit wants to communicate, it'll stop it when it's a certain word is said. I guess I don't know how they would figure that out, but
I don't know either, because I was thinking about that. If I died tomorrow and someone was using one of them, I wouldn't know how to stop it at a certain word. I'd be like, oh, it's complicated.
If you died 100 years ago, would you know, hey, this speaking to this little tiny box and it'll make noises that you can hear? How would you even explain that to someone for 100 years ago?
Yeah. So I don't know. Hey, Tales in the Dark. I don't know. I mean, other people have used these things and swear by them. It's just that I've got a skeptical mind, and I want to know how something actually works in the first place, what its actual purpose is, not ghost hunting, like what is the purpose of this device? Okay, that's what it was made to do. Get it. All right. So how is it going to get a ghost to communicate with it? I do think a spirit, should they be real, is energy, because so if it's energy, what kind of energy? How do we measure that energy? And therefore, maybe one day someone will invent a tool that does. But yeah, I don't know. It's all up to everybody else. But I think if you use something and other things happen at the same time that back up what you're getting on that one device, then okay. Like say the REM pod does go off, but at the same time something else near it goes off that indicates that there could be something in the area. I wouldn't rely just on the REM pod, because it could just be a signal from. I think. Joe would know, but I think they can pick up something like a mile away. That's the range, I think.
Oh, wow.
So far as signals, not someone touching it, radio signals. So we'll see. I don't know.
Because even compared to like an EMF detector, the REM pod has an antenna that you extend, so it should be able to pick up stuff from further away, I would think.
Yeah. So it depends what it's picking up. If it's picking up someone actually touching it, then. And it does, I mean, because people touch it.
And I've never used one. Is there like a sensitivity dial on those where you can make it more or less sensitive?
D uses one. Is there anything? I've looked at it. I picked it up. I don't think there's a dial on it. I think the little red ones that Cassie's got, I don't think there's anything you can turn it up or down. I could be wrong. But yeah, I wouldn't waste my money. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I do believe in spirit that there's something going on after we die. I just don't know what, and I don't think any of us are ever really going to find out. And then, of course, I look at this alien thing, and I think, shit, what's to say there's not some connection with that? Like maybe. I mean, if they invented us, sorry,
which could be.
Sorry, people. Well, sorry, people who believe in God, but let's just say they're the gods. They're the ones that said,
I think there's still room for God in that. But one of the popular theories lately has been that if aliens are not necessarily from 4 light years away and traveled here, Star Trek style, to get here, if they're from another dimension, or multiverse, if we want to go that route, since that's been popular in movies lately. If they're from some other dimension and are somehow manipulating into our dimension, that would also fit the paradigm for everything else under that paranormal umbrella. Cryptids, ghosts, all of that stuff. if it's something that's slipping in from somewhere else, I do believe that there are spots on the earth that, not to get super metaphysical about it, but where the veil is thinner, where you get places like Skinwalker Ranch and, there's Mount Shasta and, several different places across the globe that it has all of these things where it has ghost-like activity. It has weird cryptids that are showing up, not just Bigfoot, and it has UFO type activity as well, all in the same general area. That's not 3 or 4 different things that just happen to be going on there. Again, if it's one of those spots where maybe that whatever barrier is between dimensions is a little bit thinner, where you kind of see, and it may not even be intentional, like with cryptids and stuff like that, where it just happens to be that, they're walking through the woods in their dimension and accidentally slip into ours and then slip back out again. And people get that rare glimpse of it. And the same thing for ghosts and UFOs and things like that, I feel.
Yeah. Oh, look, I know. It's nobody knows anything. We just all assume everything.
We're
The
all
only person who
dumb.
thinks, yeah, Nadu, that's what my channel is about too. And there's another couple of great channels. The Side Eye Guy, he was going to try and be here today, but he's got babies, so I'm assuming he's busy with children. I would be if my children were babies. There's the Side Eye Guy, The Shape, of course, Beardo, Crow of Judas, like, and they've been doing such a good job of it lately. Like my side of it is not so much. I know I can watch now and know when people are faking. It's just sad. You watch and you think, oh, headache. But some of them are entertaining, like that Sam and Colby Cheese. That's what I call him. Sam and Colby. And there's a few others that you can watch and know that it's not real. Look, some things may happen while they're there, but unfortunately their production is over the top, and half the time it's BS. But that's okay. They're entertaining and they're funny and they're cute kids. So I even watch them because they've gone to a few places I've been to. So I want to see, if there's anything, because I know what these places were like. So I watch some of these sort of fakers and think, well, let's see what they pick up. I tuned into one who had been, I hadn't been to the Sally House, but I tuned into somebody who had gone to the Sally House, and after I researched it all and did my episodes on it, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I just watched it, I thought they're friggin' fake. And I just thought, can't be bothered. But a lot of them are being shown up now, really. And at the end of the day, if they want to make episodes and claim to nearly die every time they go somewhere, we were attacked by a demon, we were scratched by a demon, we were cut by a demon, we were locked up with a demon.
Were they wearing jetpacks?
The demons? Well, maybe they were miners and not demons. But yeah, so Nadu, if you have a look within this community and go to some of those channels, you'll see that there's a lot of really good debunkers out there. Side Eye Guy doesn't debunk as so much as he makes fun of. Parodies. Like, he'll watch something and he'll basically do what you or I will do when watching it, roll his eyes and go, oh, for fuck's sake.
Usually if there's like the over the top overreaction to something, it's like, look at how much the meter is spiking, look, something just touched my butt. I bet it did.
I've been on click. Nothing's touched my butt. And when I've been investigating, I tell you what, I'm not that lucky. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I've been with my friend Cassie when she's investigating, and I don't know what it is, but something always goes and touches her hair. And it's like, she's like, oh, and there's a few times like she's it definitely says she's been touched, and I don't not believe her. Like, but they're not touching me. But when I was at the Mackey Mansion in Virginia City, I thought there might be a spider on me or something. It was we weren't filming. I was just sitting. Cassie and her husband Ron were upstairs investigating. So both myself and my friend Jason were sitting quietly, and I'm like, you know what a spider, like when something
Yeah.
touches like on your neck, like, ooh, oh, I've got chills now thinking about it. And I was sitting on the chair and I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking, is there a spider? And I'm looking around and I said, and it was still doing it. Like, oh, well, it stopped because I went like that. And then I thought, whatever, because spiders don't bother me. But and then I went back to doing what I was doing. And then it started again. And I went, Jason, and he went, what? I said, can you please look on my neck? I'm reasonably certain there's a spider or something on there. So he come over and he had a look and he said, where? And I showed him where. I said, right there. And he's like, yeah, no, there's nothing there. I said, then it must be on the chair. And I'm looking around and then it just kind of stopped happening. So it may have been just a funny little thing, like my hair was touching me. It might have been a spider and I brushed it off. But that was kind of weird. I've never, like, but I'm not saying that it was a ghost that was touching me. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh,
It
right.
just been a weird thing. So weird things happen. And I don't know, but I haven't had anything touch me or, and I've been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've been on six investigations now.
Oh, wow.
In some pretty awesome, like all of them awesome places and famous. Oh, well, where have I been? I've been to the Mackey Mansion, the Washoe Club. I've been to Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Old Hospital on College Hill, which is in West Virginia. I've been to Bobby Mackey's. That's all I'll say about Bobby Mackey's. And I've been to, what was the other one? Struth. Now I'm forgetting. Oh, Octagon Hall. Octagon Hall, which is in Franklin, Kentucky. That's awesome. I'd love to go back there now, knowing everything I know about it, and have another go. But yeah, I haven't been touched. I've heard voices, which is really weird, and you question your sanity, because when we were at Octagon Hall, there was only 4 of us there. We were all there, but off just to behind me, I was sure I heard someone go, mm-hmm, like only a mm-hmm, but it was a female, mm-hmm,
Wow.
and but Cassie heard it too. Like we both went, did you hear that? And I said, what'd you hear? And she went, and she repeated it, and I went, don't know what that was, but I never heard anyone go, get out, or it was like, I haven't heard anything yet or seen anything yet that I can think off the top of my head, except for what happened with me at the Washoe Club, the smoke and the chills. I'm still waiting. The minute I see something, I'm going to be super happy, because then I'll think, well, I don't really care. I don't need to investigate anymore, because that one thing happened. It was true, etc., and blah, blah, blah. Let's see. NATO, Octagon Hall is built in a messed up way, upside down, crosses on the doors, the amount of windows. No, NATO. I will be a Karen on this one, and respectfully disagree with you. Octagon Hall was built by a man back in the day, just before 58, 59, 58, 59. I've got an episode on the history of it if you want to go and look. He was a Freemason. And the house that he built was later on, a man wrote a book about octagon-shaped houses, and the reason that they were good for like you could keep your house warmer. There's a reason that the octagon house, the structures, the 13-foot high ceilings, etc. The 13-foot high ceilings in Octagon Hall in Franklin, Kentucky, were because that is something to do with Masonic, whatever. But mind you, ceilings back in the day were usually around, especially in Australia, about 14 feet high because of heat. Heat rises,
Right.
so you keep it cooler. There's a reason for having the high ones. There were no upside down crosses. It's not satanic in any way. It was just a home that was built, and then in the Civil War started, and the Southern soldiers sort of took refuge. They were running from the Yankees. The Yankees. Oh, I've got mail. But they took refuge at Octagon Hall, and they were cared for there down in the cellar. The cellar was actually a makeshift hospital, if you will, for the ones that were really ill. If you go to the Octagon Hall now, upstairs there's a room to make it look like a hospital room, but they didn't treat anyone up there. They were all treated down under the house, and there was tunnels built to protect them so they could go and hide. But there's no upside down crosses. There's nothing evil at Octagon Hall. Like, I've delved pretty deeply into the history of it. So if you go and watch my episode, and I actually talked to Bear, who currently runs the museum there, and he gave me insight into a whole heap of other stories. But it's got a marvelous history, and go have a look. But there's nothing evil about Octagon Hall at all. There's been some other people gone there to investigate and say there's a demon and they've been scratched and blah, blah, blah. There's nothing bad there. Only thing is downstairs in one of the rooms, which is like a library. I don't know. They say there's a spirit there who's none too happy. I would say if there is a spirit there that's none too happy, I wouldn't be happy either, because it may be the spirit of one of the soldiers who passed away, and it was a horrible, horrible time back there, and and there were deaths in the house. Like, a little baby died, he fell down the stairs. A little girl died, she got bad burns. So, but that was, as Enzo will testify, back in the day, and as most of you know, all of the houses, anybody who lived in a house before the 1950s, maybe, guaranteed someone died in your house, because nobody really went to hospital. So if you're living in a really old house, definitely. But yeah, have I missed any questions? Sorry, I've been going off on mine. You know what I'm like when someone says something about a place that I've researched. I go,
I think there was where did it go? So everyone's very chatty tonight, so I lost where the, because not Nadu haunted. Oh no, I mean that in a good way. It's actually haunted, and yes, Mason's the hidden slave rooms in that is what you said about.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the doors being hung upside down. That wasn't mentioned, and they all look like they're hanging up normal to me, but I don't know. Bear certainly didn't mention anything about that. What else? Oh, there you go. Black Cat and Nadu. There you go. A big date. It's all right. They live nearby to each other. Oh, how did I miss? I know. I'm looking over. I'm now looking over. I've got it quiet, but I'm looking at the YouTube chat because my name's highlighted if somebody asks me a question. So Antoine asked me, do I ever take my pets to any haunted locations? No, but I intend to take my Rottweiler if I go to somewhere where I'm allowed to take the dog in, because number one, she'll protect me if there's some crazy person there, which has been what more than I'm worried about. But I don't know. Black Cat, I'll tell you in a second. It is said that animals can pick up on it. I would dare say maybe they can just pick up on noises and smells, because of course their hearing and smell, like their senses are way more sensitive to us. So maybe they can hear things that we can't. For example, I guess, I mean, we use recorders to try and find EVPs, and we can't hear the EVP. Maybe the dogs can hear that level that noise level. So maybe they're
Could
hearing
be.
someone say, "Hey, little puppy, come here."
Yeah.
Maybe the ghost is an animal lover, but yeah, I don't know. And Black Cat, I will be in Virginia City for the month of November. I leave here. I think I leave Australia on the 4th of November. I think that's when I booked it, or the 3rd. And I come home to Australia. I leave on the 4th of December. So I'm told it'll be snowing in Virginia City at that time, which is kind of awesome, but kind of not, because it'll be really, really cold, but it'll be really awesome to see snow because, oh, well, I've seen snow. I've been to snow. It snows in Australia, but I mean to actually be sort of walking through the township with snow would be kind of cute. Hopefully it'll hold off a little bit. I've got things to do. I don't want to slosh. I've got a donkey, a mule that I want to take for a walk in the main street. I can't do that if it's snowing. But there you go. What
And
else?
it'll be Virginia City and Nevada, right? Is where you're talking about? Is there?
Yes, Nevada. Yeah,
Okay.
not Virginia as in Virginia. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
How far
So
from Vegas is that?
13 hours or something. It's a
Ah,
big drop. Yeah, it's a ways. I'd have to fly if I went to Vegas. But I don't want to go to Vegas. What's it going to do? What am I going to do in Vegas? Like, what is there to do in
Vegas
Vegas?
is great. I love Vegas.
Well, what do you do when you go to Vegas?
I drink a lot, and one of my favorite things is people watching. I love just getting a drink and kind of sitting off to the side and watching different people do different things. And I've been known to gamble. That's actually what this picture is. That's $2,000 that I got out of a slot machine that's there behind me. Last time I.
But how much did you lose to get the 2,000?
At that time. Oh no, I was only down probably about 300.
Oh,
And
cool.
I actually got, because I got 2,000 in one hit where they actually had to have somebody come out and pay in cash there. You have a little tax form that you have to fill out. Same machine, I pulled another $400 out of it. So not only did I get my losses back, but it also paid for the entire trip because I was there for like 3 or 4 days.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool. What's this say? I might have missed something here. If it never shows up, record shared with other songs. I don't know what he's talking about. I must have missed something. I'm shocking. Oh, okay. And Maisie's talking about pain. Have you got good painkillers, Maisie? You could be rich. Wink, wink. Oh dear. I'm missing stuff in the chat. You're all talking too quick. You're all talking too quick. And there was something else I wanted to talk. Oh, well, I've talked about Sutro Tunnel, and I've talked about the aliens in Peru. The other thing I was going to ask you, have you heard anything about the aliens in Brazil?
Well, they're, along with the story of the one in Peru that supposedly they were spilling over across, because they border each other, Peru and Brazil, that supposedly in that section up there that there was activity. I haven't heard anything specific about that. Just the tale that there's weird stuff going on over there too. So
yeah, and that's where they say that the whoever he was, soldier, police officer, whatever, scooped up the sick alien that the girls found and took him to the hospital, but he was taken to the hospital in the bag, and the doctors never actually saw him. They only x-rayed him, and then the security guard / policeman / whatever he was died because they say he touched an alien, and the alien had a disease that isn't found on Earth, and that's what killed him. It's a mystery. I'm like, oh my God, write a movie. Like, that all sounds like too much. I'm sorry. I don't believe aliens will give any diseases that will kill us. Only certain people that work in labs in a different country might. So you've got to be careful what you say on here. Actually, I got a survey to do the other day from YouTube, and it said, as a creator, what kind of things do you find difficult, etc., when putting content together? And I wrote down, not being able to use the English language as it was intended to describe things is very, very difficult. And I said, for example, unaliving.
Yes.
What horrible English that is. Like, how bad you make people sound like they're illiterate. And I said, it's a word. It's in the dictionary. It's a describing word. When you say that word, you're not telling people to do it.
Right.
But when you say it the other way, unaliving yourself, that's more descriptive than saying the S word. So yes. I said, it is difficult. I do not know why you won't let people use the English language. What's the issue? And I said, and even the C word, like, why can't we? That's what all flus are. All flus are the C word, but different derivatives. So if someone's got influenza A, it's also a C COVID. So, like, I just don't get it. So I put that in. So we'll see if they get back to me and say, oh, yes, we'll change it now. Everyone can use the English language as intended. And so you don't sound like you're an idiot. But anyway, that was my only critique that I could come up with. Let's see. Is that true? Is that true, Enzo? Washington State is supposedly the most active area in the world for aliens.
For aliens? I don't know. I think it might be the most active for Bigfoot sightings, though.
Yeah, I heard Bigfoot sightings. You know what I want to look into one day? I suppose everybody's looked in. I've never really read up properly on it. But when in the 50s, I've listened to one of the radio men, air traffic controllers, talk about it. But when the spacecraft came over the White House, was it the 50s? I'm sure it was the 50s.
Oh yeah, the big fly, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And you can hear, I can't remember if it was a reenactment I was listening to or an interview. I think it was an interview with the air traffic controller, and he swears, like, and then the jet, whatever it was we had back in the 50s.
They launched planes up after him. And they couldn't catch him, and they were just they described them as just large balls of light. I can't remember what color they said they were, if they were green or blue, but like typically like the red ones is what a lot of people saw over in Europe, the Foo Fighters during World War II. But they acted very similar to that, where just zipping around, no obvious wings or propellers or jet engines or anything like that on it, just a sphere of light getting chased around.
And Nevada is the hot spot for UFO sightings. There was one in Winnemucca. Winnemucca? Is that how you'd say it? Winnemucca?
I'd say that way.
Winnemucca Mountain. It was even over the police scanner. I'd like to go to I'm trying to think, where is it? Remember in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he's building the mountain out of mashed potato? That's an actual place. And
it's Devil's Tower, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
That's it. Yeah.
Wyoming. I'd love to go there and just take a photo of me going.
Yeah.
It's a long way to travel just to go.
Your plate of mashed potatoes right next to it.
Plate of mashed potatoes, yeah. Yeah, Wyoming.
This means something.
This means so.
There's people that argue that Devil's Tower is not just a simple geologic formation or a plateau. It's actually a tree trunk.
Ooh, could it be?
No.
That's a big tree.
Yeah.
That's a big tree, guys. That'd be like the first tree ever planted, ever, for it to be that big.
How big was this tree? Had to be like into outer space. It would be so big.
Yeah, no.
I don't buy that one, but there are folks that try and make that, because it looks like a big stump. to them.
Well,
is-
looks, yeah. I mean, okay. Well,
I
it's
would think
interesting.
you'd be able to go up with a broom on the top and like count the rings. There'd probably be like millions of them, but
Yeah, well, maybe. I think it'll just be. Well, that's the thing. It's a fascinating rock. I mean, I guess people climb it all the time because people like to
Mhm.
climb things.
yeah, they do.
So, it'd be interesting to know what's at the top. Probably a nice little picnic area. You could have a picnic. I don't know. Yeah, Black Cat, no worries. Send me a message or whatever. When I get to Virginia City, the first week I'm there, I'm going to obviously be mental catching up with everybody I know. And there's I like a paranormal thingy happening that weekend. The first weekend I'm there that I'm going to go to because Janice Oberding told me about it. She's an author, writes, Haunted Nevada, all that sort of thing. She'll be there, so she wants to catch up with me. So I'll be busy the first week, and then just contact me. I'll catch up with you for sure. I just don't know exactly when, because I've also got a date with a mule. I have to pretty her up. And Bernadine is the mule's name. She used to belong to Stinky. I'm going to pretty her up and put her in her pajamas and take her for a walk up the main street and get her a beer because apparently she likes beer. And yes,
how did you find that out?
Most horses do love beer. I don't know why. I had 3 little ponies,
Really?
and they used to love drinking beer. Tanya. Yeah, I did contact. Sorry, I'm just trying to see where Tanya's. There she is. Yes, what I did, and now I can't remember who it was actually. What I did was I put that ticket to that thing in September in my feed, and nobody wanted it. No one contacted me, but then someone did, and I'm trying to remember who it was. And said, yeah, they'll have it. So I said, well, email me and I'll send it all off to you. But they never emailed me. And then I was in a live with Paranormal Quest and said to them, hey, guys, someone can have this ticket to go to Moundsville if they want it. You don't want it, do you, Enzo? You could have it. I don't know. How far is Moundsville from you? Moundsville.
What state is it in?
Yeah.
There's a few states.
Oh, Tanya, what state is it in? Shit. It's a Moundsville penitentiary. It's shit. I've gone blank. Someone tell me. Someone will know that watches Paranormal Quest. I've just gone blank. Is it Tennessee? No, it's near Pittsburgh. I know I had to catch a plane to Pittsburgh and then drive an hour to get to it.
So
West Virginia,
Pennsylvania area?
West Virginia. I think it's West Virginia or Virginia. Wait a minute. Freaking useless. I'll tell you in a minute. Shivers me timbers. Moundsville. There it is. Moundsville. I'm just checking my email. Just a minute. Confirmation. There we go. West Virginia. It's the West Virginia Penitentiary. How far is that from you, Enzo?
That's a couple days drive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the same problem I had. I got all excited and thought that's when I'll go, and then I brought the ticket. It's a VIP ticket, folks, and I brought the ticket and then realized shit. To get there, you can't fly in there. Like there's no airport there. And I went, oh, and I thought, okay, so it's on an hour drive from Pittsburgh International Airport. And then I thought, well, I could just get a hire car and drive there. And then I thought, oh, and then it was looking at the cost of the air. So to fly from here to Pittsburgh, and then from Pittsburgh I was going to go to the Sally House from Pittsburgh. I thought, oh yeah, nah, I'm not a millionaire. So I thought I'll gift somebody the VIP ticket. So I tried to do that. But then, as I say, the person who said that they wanted it would basically, I think just taking it because it was up for grabs, not really because they really desperately wanted to go. So I went into one of the lives with Paranormal Quest and asked them, hey, if I send it to you, can you gift it to somebody deserving? And they said, yeah, do that. So I emailed them, and I haven't heard from them since. So I don't know if anyone's been given the ticket or anything like that. So I might have to. I should get you to chase them up, Tanya. You're one of their moderators. Go crook at them
Yeah,
and say, "Oi,"
there you
because
go.
they listen to you when you put a message up on their live. Just say, dudes, she's emailed you a free ticket. It's a VIP ticket, like it's all access. Like, come on, have the ticket. Go to Moundsville Penitentiary. I'll go there one day, maybe. But for the minute, I'm just going to go stick to Virginia City. I feel very comfortable in Virginia City. It's kind of like home. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why. I just, the first time I ever went there, within the first day of walking around and just meeting people, I just felt at home. Like everybody, I know it's a tourist town. That's probably why people are friendly, but everyone's
Sure.
friendly. Everyone's friendly. Everyone was friendly. Everybody was, and I made a couple of good friends that are there. Taylor, who was in that episode that I did with the Sutro Tunnel, young Taylor, she's a good friend now. I've got another lady, Connie, who works at the Silver Queen Hotel. We're besties, so I'll be staying at her house for the month. I said, if you get sick of me, I know where the Silver Queen is. I'll get a room. But yeah, I don't know. Whenever I'm there, I just feel, and when I leave, I'm sad. But I love coming home. I mean, home's home. But
Oh yeah.
if I didn't have children here that I needed to look out for and stuff, if I was at that age where all the kids were doing their own thing, I'd be really tempted to come and live in America. America is a very good country. It'll be led well soon.
We do okay.
Yeah, I think I love America. I grew up loving America. My grandpa used to hate that. Bloody Yanks.
Part of the allure of America is it is super big, and once you get out away from like the really big cities, your Los Angeles, your San Diego, your New Yorks, all that stuff. When you get out away from that, and like in Virginia City, it's not a giant town.
No.
You see how there's just regular people doing their regular thing, and they're cordial to you. It's not like New York where you'll trip and fall down, and people just step over you and not even pay attention to you. There's not human feces laying in the streets and on the sidewalk like in Los Angeles.
I saw. What was I watching? Well, when I went to LA, when I left Virginia City, and I had a 9-hour layover in Los Angeles, so I contacted a friend called Scott Michaels. He's got his own channel, Dearly Departed. But because he used to do tours in LA, he used to take people around like true crime areas of Hollywood, like where Hollywood stars murdered or died, and do different things like that. Like I think I've told people before, he advised on that movie, Quentin Tarantino's movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So Scott worked with Quentin Tarantino and gave him all the background, like to the very when you watch that movie, I can't remember who's playing the piano. There's a scene where someone's playing the piano, and the sheet music on the piano is the sheet, like it's the actual song that was on the piano when the murders took place or whatever. And Scott knew that, so told Quentin, and Quentin made sure that that's what was on the piano when they were playing the piano. Little intricacies like that. So I got Scott to drive me around LA, and we went, and I saw where some of the Hollywood stars like Gene Kelly and stuff used to live, and I went to some of the cemeteries. I went to Benny's Beanery, I think it's called. It's a restaurant / bar where famously what's his name? I always forget his name. From he peed on the thing. Janis Joplin carved a name into the bench top there, and I
know who you're talking about.
Know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar. What's his name? Yeah.
from
Oh,
the Doors.
yeah. Oh, God.
I forget
Anyway,
his name too. I'm awful with
yeah,
names.
yeah, him. He peed on the thingo, and they've got a. He peed on the one. Got drunk one night, stood up and peed on the bar. And so instead of saying he peed on the bar, it says he sat on the bar. So I went there. Jim Morrison, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, Jim
Sun
Morrison.
Saver.
Yes, Jim Morrison. But yes, I went there. But we also drove around LA a little bit because I wanted to see where Warner Brothers was and all that sort of thing. And all of the writers were on strike with their placards. So I got video of that because I thought that's interesting. But there were tents under most of the bridges. You wouldn't have been able
Yep.
to walk on the footpath because people were living in tents, and
Yep.
it just looked dreadful. And I thought, why are they living like what? Why? Like, I mean, we have homeless here too. But I'd never seen it to the extent that I saw it that day I was in Los Angeles. And I know that San Francisco is having the same sort of issue with what you're saying, people just pooping in the streets. Like,
Yeah, it's I know in the U.S. we have a big problem with it, and I kind of feel it's the world has a problem with being upfront and identifying mental illness and addiction for in people like that, where because that's the core for most of the folks that you see are homeless out there. It's
oh, yeah.
they don't choose to live that life. It's just and to be fair, some of them do. I mean, there are people that are just I'm living off the land, doing my thing, and I can beat on this empty bucket, and people will give me money, and that's
Yeah.
enough for me to buy something to eat. And there are people like that, but those are in the minority. Most people you see have some type of mental illness or an addiction where they've lost everything. That is their rock bottom at what you're seeing at. And giving it's not California is really bad about, the homeless, we'll just give them this free house for them to live in. It's like, no, it's not. That's not getting to the core of the issue. In a week,
Yes.
they'll have ripped out all the walls and sold all the wiring so they can get their next fix. It's thanks for the money, dopes. It's not a matter that they can't find a place to live. It's they spend every penny they get to get that next fix, or are mentally ill to the point where they're not even on the same plane of existence as the rest of us.
Yeah. And it is really sad. And especially now we're having that issue here in Australia as well. And I think that's what's happening in America as well. And in England, Maisie is in here. She's from Scotland, and I've just put her message up. I'll get to that in a second, Maisie. But I know it's since the C word, it's happened to a lot of people. Like people's mortgages are going up. Rent here in this country, it's like a week's worth of to rent just a little house or even an apartment or whatever. You're looking at $500 a week. Most people don't make much more than that in a wage, so you've got to pay somewhere to live. So you can't really live by yourself because you can't afford it. And some of these people don't work, so they get benefits from the government. Where can you live for? Like, you can't live. And no, the government shouldn't have to pay for everything, but there should be something. There should be some way. And there's ways to help people, but I guess it costs money from people that don't want to empty their pockets,
Right.
And we little us can't solve that issue, but just be kind and know that sometimes these people, I always stop. I was in Canada. I was in Canada. I was in Canberra the other week with my son, and I came out of the supermarket, and there was a gentleman sitting down, and my daughter-in-law said to me, he's there every day. He's homeless. Like, he's been homeless for about 12 months. And I went, what? I went to the machine and took out money, and I went out there and I squatted down next to him, and I said, "Hey, mate," I said, "how are you going?" I said, "It's freaking cold here." And he's like, no one talks to him. He said, people just avert their eyes and don't look at him. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. I said, I don't want to know all your business. I just want to know, do you need anything? Like, is someone trying to help you get a house? And he said, well, actually, he said, I have got a house. I've been waiting, and I've finally got a house. I've got a little unit, a little apartment to go to tomorrow. I can move in
Right.
tomorrow. And I went, wow, fantastic. So I gave him what I had in my hand. I said, well, that might be able to buy you something for it, like some towels or some, food that you could use for the week or whatever. And he near cried. And I thought, he said, thank you. I said, no worries. I said, but I better not see you here tomorrow. And he wasn't, and he hasn't been back. So obviously, but I never avert my eyes. I always wave at them and say hello. And if no one much carries cash anymore. So
and don't get me wrong about what I said earlier about obvious problem, but there are people that they just get a bad turn of luck and they fall on hard times, and all they need is that chance. And there are programs out there to help people to kind of keep their head above water and things like that. And if they're willing to go right back to work or do whatever job to make some money and go get back in it, then they'll be okay eventually. It's all the rest of the folks where you go into a restaurant and there's a guy with the change cup out there just wanting money, and you bring them a sandwich from inside and they don't want it. They want the money. It's like, why even try?
I have come across people like that, but there's other people. Call me weird. I don't know. I just find that if I'm walking somewhere and see someone homeless, I know you watch everybody else, and they look the other way or they step around them. But I'll say hello, hi, because you see them sitting there, they look freaking like they want to die,
Right.
And then they'll go, oh, they just say hello. So the ones that just say hello back, I walk off and I go to the EFTPOS machine or the ATM and I'll grab something. And then I go back and go, oh, hey, I said hello to you before. I said, I don't know what you want to eat or what makes you happy to eat, so I'm not going to go and buy you something. And I'll say, here you go. And I just put it in their hand and I'll go, get a good hot feed, or buy a rug, whatever you need. And they go, oh, and then they look and they go, oh my God, thank you. And I think, and it makes me feel good. So I'm selfish because it makes me feel good. But then I'm happy because I've said hello to them and taken the time to ask them something about themselves. And I don't know, I hope it makes a little bit of a difference in their day, just to let them remember that there are people out there that do care. It's beyond our ability to actually fix it, but there are people out there that care,
Yep.
All right. What else? Anybody? Have I missed anybody's questions? I can see a lot of political type things. I'm not going to get into the politics, but I'm pretty sure good times are coming next year. I think America will be on the mend as soon as a certain person's in the nursing home. Well, I hope. Oh, actually, that is one question. I just want to learn. This isn't a political question, okay? I don't want to get into politics. I just don't know much about the man. I was listening to a podcast on Joe Rogan. I do like to listen to Joe. He has interesting people on. And Robert Kennedy Jr. I thought, oh, a Kennedy. Because he did explain what happened to his throat, because he's got like a scratchy throat. There was something that happened to his throat, so that's why he talks like that. But he was talking about, and I don't want to talk about this because people can get their hair on fire. He was talking about immunization, like, all that sort of stuff and different things. And I thought, but my mind was blown listening to what he was talking about. I thought, fuck, that explains a lot. But anyway, that's all I'll say on that one. But is he going to run for president or no?
What it is right now for election season, which will be next year, here in the States, is everyone's running for their primary. So all the Democrat people that are going to run for the Democrat Party are forming up, all the Republicans are forming up their people, and the one or two independents are doing their thing, where basically they're going to have like a runoff on who's going to be the one that's actually going to be on the voting ticket kind of thing. So he's going down for the Democrat side, and there's a few other people on there as well, where they will go. And I imagine at some point, probably the beginning of next year, you'll see where they'll have some kind of not a press conference, what's the word? A debate where you'll have the people that are up, for running for that slot, and Biden probably won't show up. But then they'll.
He needs to have a big rest.
That's one of those things where I don't understand people that feel like especially with politics, because that's a pretty cutthroat biz, especially at that when you get inside the Beltway of Washington, D.C. Why would you want to be there till your last breath? Why would you not get to this certain point? It's like, you know what? I'm taking my illicit gains I've mooched off of the government, and I'm going to retire. You'll never see or hear from me again.
And drink drinks out of little cups, and I'm going to have massages every day, and I'm going to have people cook for me and do my washing.
These guys will stay there until they exhale for the last time, and that's the only way they get out of office, and that's ridiculous in my opinion. We need term limits and everything else.
Black Cat, the only thing I'll say about your comment and why I'm not getting
that's
it's way. But the only thing I will say is that I did listen to him talk about the vaccines and when they were manufactured and different things they put into them, which boggled my mind. I had no idea. The only thing I will say is I've got Stephen's gone, as you all know, but I've got grown boys that are fine, but I've got 4 female daughters, all of which have got something, autism, learning difficulties, etc. They had some of those shots. However, having said that, being a nurse, I would still get the shots. That's all I'll say. Because at the end of the day, I would much rather my kids live than catch something that's going to kill them. But I do think they need to tweak it and get the mercury out of those injections. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I understand. My daughter too, Black Cat. So
when you and I were kids, before, and I imagine it's the same in Australia. In the US, before you could go into school, you had to have X number of these things. Like when we were kids, that was probably only like 4 or 5 things you had to get.
Yeah.
Now it's what, 20 more?
Well, according to Mr. Robert Kennedy, it's something like by the end of the time that you get it done, 75 shots in total.
Oh.
So I'm like, what the fuck? When you or I were little, it was polio, which you drank. Tetanus was always one that you would be recommended to get, but you didn't have to. But polio, and if you went overseas, you had to get the one that leaves a little scar on your arm.
What was that one?
I can't remember what that was, but anyway, that was fun. You don't need to get that anymore.
If you're a certain age, there was like swine flu stuff. There was the polio stuff.
Or measles. Measles.
Yeah, measles in general,
Yeah, like it wasn't much, and TB, you still got tuberculosis shots so that you wouldn't catch TB. Now, of course, you don't have to worry about that because TB is basically eradicated, and even if you get it, it's treated with antibiotics, and you're okay anyway. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't like to enter into those conversations. I think that's everybody individually to educate themselves.
And that's one of the YouTube taboos, talking about that stuff too.
Yeah. So I don't. That's what I mean. I don't want to. That's up to every individual to talk about. And yes, you're not allowed to. I don't know why you're not allowed to. The same, but anyway, it is what it is. Rubella, that's it. So yeah, but we'll stop talking about that now because I'm not even monetized. So and I would like to be monetized one day, in the future. Which leads me, because I was going to ask you this. I saw this. Where was it? I've gone. I've gone back. Someone put up a thing, who was it, about aliens supposedly saying that they'll show themselves in the year 2027. I'm like, well, there we are, sun saver. Karen, have you heard the rumors from John? Who's John Ramirez? He sounds familiar.
John Ramirez kind of came on the scene about a year or so ago. I'm not a big fan of him myself, not for anything personal or anything. It's just, well, who are you? Basically, he was a CIA contractor where his specialty is rockets and missile technology, where they were using him to look at data that they had gotten from Chinese and Russian sources at whatever their like ICBMs and that kind of technology was, and he would evaluate that and determine, from the size of the rocket, how far it could go. And don't get me wrong, he's a very intelligent guy, but he's also a big UFO true believer guy. He goes to all the conferences, he goes to all the little UFO shows around the country and stuff like that. I was at Contact in the desert this past year. I saw him there. But nothing about his job when he was working with the CIA involved anything to do with UFOs or even, clandestine technologies, or unless it had something to do with a missile, I guess. But because he worked for the CIA at one point, that somehow elevates his opinion because he worked for them, which he wasn't like a spy. He wasn't any kind of investigative part of them. He wasn't an agent or anything like that. But he came up with some good points, but I feel he gets a little bit more spotlight shined on him because he kind of worked for the CIA. And honestly, that doesn't make him that much different than me, really. Where, okay, I was in the Air Force for 24 years and I worked on aircraft.
Yeah.
I
was married to someone who was in the Air Force, so that makes me
we are just as qualified to talk about UFOs and stuff that he is. I don't know why he's given this super elevated level of importance almost. It's like, okay, so it's and don't get me wrong, he's a smart guy, and usually what he says is actually a lot along the lines of stuff that I would say, so I can't disagree with him, what is his actual statements and stuff. But he definitely buys into a lot of the classic UFO lore that's out there, because he goes to all of these UFO conferences. Oh, have I ever had a close encounter and seen something that I could not explain or known or accepted physical theories? I have. I've seen 2 UFOs in my life. Once when I was 9, I think it was 1977, I guess. So I was 9 going on 10 that year. And that was just a light over top of the local steel mill, back when American towns had steel mills in them. And I went, and I was in grade school, of course, and I go to school the next day because it's a really public place. There's a couple highways, a big shopping center right there where I saw it, and it was just slowly moving across one of the large buildings as part of the steel plant. And I was trying to get my sister, who was over in the garage messing with her bicycle. Something told me, don't take your eyes off it, because if you look away, it's not going to be there when you look back. Yeah. And I'm trying to get my sister's attention. It's like, you got to see this. I think it's a UFO. It's right over there. And, wow. Of course, little sister's doing a little sister's. You're just trying to trick me. And I was like, no, really, you got to come over because it's right. Gone. It was not there anymore. I asked about it at school the next day. And of course, kids being evil little kids. You're the UFO kid. You see UFOs all the time. Fortunately, it was near the end of the school year, so that didn't carry over for the rest of the time I was in school. It's like, yeah, he's the UFO wacko.
I have no fond memories of school. I was bullied all the way through. So I have no fond memories. School is a torturous experiment put upon us children. I don't know. But mind you, I had teachers I loved. But I loved learning. didn't like the other kids being bullies. And what was your other experience, Enzo?
My second one was in 1999, just about 7 miles that direction. And down, I was visiting a friend who lives right in the middle of the city of Wichita, which is about 300,000 people. And I went out into his backyard, and one of my other nerdy things that I like to do is I'm an avid stargazer. Anytime I'm outside at night, first thing I do is look up at the sky to see what stars I can see. And I have more on that later before we get out of here. There's one other thing I want to talk about. But as I was going out there, I'm just, looking at the sky, and I saw like movement, like directly over my head. Mm-hmm. I look up, and it just seemed like a dark shape. No lights, no sound. At first I thought maybe it was birds or something, like really high, and the light from the city was kind of reflecting off the bottom a little bit, but it wasn't even that bright. It was just a black shape on a dark blue background kind of a thing. It's something I wasn't even sure I was seeing it, but being an astronomy nerd, as it was passing over, it was blocking stars. So it was something solid. And I guess if I had to give it a shape, it would have been like a triangle, but like, where's my example? Whereas, because we've all heard stories about black triangles. We imagine them, turn off my thing. We imagine them flying with like one of the points of the triangle going forward, because that would be kind of aerodynamic. Whatever I saw, it was like one of the flat sides of the triangle was moving forward.
Oh, interesting.
And it passed over my head, was probably only lasted about 10 seconds or so. And, but it was something solid. It was blocking out stars, no sound, no lights. I don't know what that was. And, I'd been in the Air Force for many years. I joined the Air Force in 1985. This was 1999. I worked around aircraft most of that time. Been to a lot of places, seen a lot of different type of aircraft and how they perform, blah, 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 blah. I have no idea what the hell that was. It was something. It was a physical object that was slowly moving through the sky. I think the only reason I could sort of see it was, again, the lights from the city. If I had been like out where I live now, or further away from city lights, I probably wouldn't have even noticed it.
Maisie's asking about a place in Scotland that's notorious apparently for UFO sightings, Bonnie Bridge. Do you know anything about that, Enzo?
That sounds familiar. Like I've heard stories of that.
You put something else in your previous. Maisie did write it before, and she said somewhere else. I'm just trying to.
Is that one of the places where the school kids in school saw some UFOs?
Maisie. Yeah, Maisie. She'll write it. She'll be tapping away as we speak. And Sunsaver says anything recently other than the leaked US Navy sightings.
Nope. Nothing recently, because I've of course look when I'm out, but like part of the downside of trying to view that kind of stuff, like where I live, Wichita has a lot of the big industry in this town is manufacturing aircraft, small aircraft, large aircraft. We've got Boeing, we've got Cessna, we've got dozens of different aircraft manufacturing companies that build planes here. And it's like a lifelong thing for Wichita. A lot of the heavy bombers that were built during World War II that were used in the European campaign were made right here.
Oh wow!
Back in the day, and some of those old buildings still exist over there, but they're actually part of a museum now. But anyways, so there's always a lot of air traffic through here. Plus, being I'm right dead center in the middle of the country for the most part. And a lot of commercial traffic, they use navigation aids as they travel across the country. So I'm going to head to this city now, and to this city, and that kind of thing. And we're one of those central areas so you'll see a lot of aircraft traffic day or night here. And if you don't have your little flight tracker app on your phone, you could easily say one of those could be a UFO or could be something strange if you're not used to seeing a lot of air traffic like that. So it can get complicated. We're also in the middle of the central flyway for migrating birds, immigration birds. What am I talking about? And so pretty much everything that lives in Canada during the summer months migrates south and funnels right through this area. I've seen crazy amounts of birds that I never, certainly are not native to here, but they're just passing through, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of strange things to see in the sky here, both man-made and natural. So being able to look through all of that and then find the one thing that's super weird it's difficult. It's a challenge.
Yeah, I've seen things that I've kind of gone, what? Huh? What? But again, it could be a plane, it could be Superman, it could be anything. It's just like, I don't know. I'd love to see something like you have seen, but the only reason is because I'd love to see something, and if I saw something, I'd go, come and get me. Like, hello, like,
going my way. Got your Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Hey.
Yeah. Because I do believe in aliens. I have no doubt. I absolutely, like, there's no doubt in my mind they exist. So I don't need to see it to prove that. And quite frankly, with what Grush and Graves and what's his name? I always forget his name. The one that saw the Tic Tac, Favor. After listening to them talk, that's just confirmed it more for me. I do believe them. They're not fibbing. It's all real. It's just that, yeah, like, I want to see one. I don't need to see one to believe in aliens. I just want to see one so I can somehow shout out, use my telepathic that I don't have, telepathic powers. Come and get me. Like, just come and get me. Like, it's okay. Come and get me. I want to talk to you. What can we do?
I just had that image of like Aquaman from the Super Friends with little waves coming out of his head.
Oh, yeah. Was that Aquaman or Aqua Boy? Aqua Boy. There used to be a cartoon I watched where he did that. Was it Aqua?
It was the Super Friends when I was a kid, where it was the Justice League, where Aquaman would go underwater and you'd see the little waves coming out as he was telepathically telling the whale to go save the sinking boat or whatever it was.
Yeah. Oh, there's a question for you here, Enzo.
Oh. Thank you for your services. Thank you. Honor is mine. Any tips on where I should share my ideas for advanced electric motors for use in heavy lift, long range, ultralight electric UAVs, drones? Ooh, boy. I don't know. I assume that it's something a little different from what's out there now. I don't know where you would go with that, to be honest. If it's, I would certainly, if it's something that you believe in and you've got full schematics and everything like that, talk to a patent lawyer. Put your name on it so nobody else steals it.
But yeah, definitely patent it. Yeah. Black Cat's with me. She'll shout out to the aliens and tell them to come and get her as well, or him. I can never remember Black Cat. You're a her, aren't you? Whenever I see a Black Cat, I think of a her, not a him. I don't know. I always get it wrong. But yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing within this universe that is certain to me, that there is definitely UFO/aliens. I just don't know why they're so elusive, but there'd be a reason. Probably because really humans are very angry, violent, like can't trust humans. Like, I don't know.
Right.
There's a lot of humans, but as a whole, the governments, like those people, like I think if aliens, like, who cares? They can't do anything to make our living better if they come forward, or can they? But then if they come forward, I mean, if they come forward and say, here we are, okay, BHP and all of you people, we don't need coal anymore, electricity plants, sorry, see ya, bye, petrol, don't need it anymore, we can use electric, or better still, we don't even need cars anymore. Here's this thing, and you can just basically push a button
teleport.
Teleport.
Well,
like that,
even if
might be able to do that, but don't know.
If aliens were to drop out of the sky tomorrow and it's like, hey, cool Earth dudes, here's the schematics and plans. Even simple enough dumb humans can figure it out for unlimited electricity or what,
Yeah.
transmittable power, whatever it is. We would still need gas cars and coal-fired electrical plants and stuff like that until all of this stuff came online, which is probably the way that our governments move would probably be 25 years or so. And but I actually that's one of the, because I always try and theorize about stuff, just kind of daydreaming amongst myself sometimes, where
I too.
why are they trying to bring all this stuff out now after all this time? And one of the things that I kind of, and this is just my opinion, this is no way, haven't heard this anywhere, there's just some nonsense I dreamt up in my stupid little head, is that they have been able to back engineer like a power source, but it's so radically different than anything even our top scientists are working on right now, that they couldn't explain it away as something. It's like, oh, our guys at General Electric just figured this out. Here it is, and it's amazing. It's something so radical but it'll cure everything. If you have like unlimited free power all over the place, next step is like Federation from Star Trek, where everything's cool. You don't have any issues then. But that's part of that push for, they can't we can say, okay, we got this off a record UFO. That's the only way people are going to believe this actually works, because people went bananas over when freaking 5G came out for cell phones. What are they going to say if you've got generated electricity that you just, instead of wires running all over your city going into your house, you just have like a little antenna and everything's plugged into that? What are people going to say?
It's funny. It's not funny. I know that if in the early 80s, where I lived down in Melbourne, there was talk at the time. I worked for a place called Robert Bosch, a German company that manufactured car parts, alternators, all that sort of thing. And I was in the electronics department, where we put together certain electronic components and these things. And there was talk at the time. There was a fellow making a little bit of a fuss. And this is old news anyway. He'd come up with an idea, something to put on your car that basically meant you just power your car with water. And what's that thing that starts with H? Is it hydrogen? I don't know. Yes. But it did that with the coil thing. And he said that I'm going from a 30 odd years ago. I'm trying to remember this. He lived in a place called Noble Park, this guy who invented it. And he said that, I'm pretty sure it was BHP, came to him and they said, hey, that's a great idea, we'll buy that. They paid him money and he sold his idea to BHP. Nothing ever happened, obviously.
Right. Well, there have been
work. I've seen someone I dated for a little while did that to his little car, and I didn't believe him. I said, no way. And he goes, come out. And because he's a nerd, and he lifted his hood, and there it was, just a jar with a coil in it, and he had it attached. However, he had it attached, and he said, drives my car. I don't put petrol in it. He said, I've got to put lubricant through the engine sometimes, but he said it works charm. So it does work. But go ahead, I interrupted.
Well, there have been big companies, the car companies and stuff like that have been trying to develop a good system for using hydrogen, because Lord knows they got a lot of water on this planet. If you use electrolysis on regular water, it'll break it up to 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Oxygen has its own uses, which you're not really endangering the planet if you have too much oxygen. Plus, it would take a long time to where,
But hydrogen does.
Lighting. Hydrogen's very flammable.
Yeah.
Usually everybody goes straight from, well, we're going to have a hydrogen power car. What about the Hindenburg? That was all hydrogen. Okay, let's look at that example. What happened? the one spark because there was thunderstorms in the area. They came in, they dropped their lines, the mooring lines. It made ground. There was a spark somewhere on the craft. There you go, Lakehurst, New Jersey.
That's of the Hindenburg in there.
Yeah, and if you watch like that video, like that's the initial explosion.
Yeah.
Where boof, and then it was just the skeleton frame of the Zeppelin that just crashed to the earth. It was, now imagine if that was full of gasoline and the same spark. It'd be a crater in the ground from that. So, is hydrogen safer than gasoline? Well, kind of. It's probably a toss-up. You can say the same thing with leaking gasoline too. So, but usually what they're finding is when you compare it to gas, a gallon of gasoline will take you X number of miles in your car, whereas you'd need much more hydrogen to take you that far, and then it's going to be in a special tank. And of course, people are bananas over it, so there would have to be special containment vehicles or a containment apparatus that if you got in a car crash, it wouldn't burst out and everybody's on fire. That kind of thing, which the same could be said for gasoline, and we've figured that out. But then you have the support system. We're seeing the same thing with electric cars right now. Not everywhere has a power charging station, so it's not like you're going to take a road trip from coast to coast in the U.S. You're going to run out of juice somewhere down the road.
You have to have, that's why I think electric cars have to be at the moment hybrid, because you can't. But there's I don't know. There's lots of things that get invented, but certainly, even in the medical field, like I know there's cures for certain things out there, but pharma is not gonna good luck, because these people make money, and the people that make the machinery that x-rays you and gives you your treatments, imagine how much money they'll lose if all of a sudden what they're making machinery for can be cured. So it's not a conspiracy theory, it's just common sense.
If the aliens drop down, it's like, okay, people of Earth, here's a pill. You will never catch a disease ever again. You can still fall off a cliff and die, but you won't ever get sick. What would that do to the medical facilities? They're going to have to just turn into broken bone and stitches joints, and that's it.
Yeah, but that would be wonderful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Wonderful. But the problem is, how do you solve the problem of humans as a whole? Because mostly humans, there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful humans on the planet, but there's a lot of horrible humans on the planet. And do you really want to give those horrible humans the chance to live to be old?
Well, honestly, if you're, because then you're starting to break people up. It's like good people, bad people. Okay, who decides goes into the good side, and who decides who goes on the bad side?
Yeah, so you can't do that. But I guess you would just hope that, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not God. Because it'd be a hard job. It'd be like, you were really nice yesterday and you did some really nice things, but then today you were really horrible and called that person names. I don't know. Do I just miss you? I don't know. But maybe the aliens have got a good idea. Maybe they know how to do it. Maybe it'll be an implant. Well, maybe it's the injections we got have implanted us to be good. It'll be like a magic switch that'll get you switched when the aliens.
It's not necessarily being good; it's being subservient.
Yeah, which we nearly all are.
I have to admit, when everybody was, during lockdowns and such, I was genuinely surprised it went on as long as it did without people going crazy. Like, no, screw you. I'm going and doing what I want. But then that's the thing is, inside big cities, you were locked down tight. Nothing was open, all that stuff. When you traveled outside of the big cities, everything was normal. It's like, we don't care about, you can wear a mask if you want. It makes you feel better, but I don't care. And it's not like small town America all dropped dead from, stuff or anything like that. Everybody Everybody's just fine. So
Everyone's fine. But anyway, that's all stuff that we think about in our own little worlds. But if you say too much openly, then people, and it's like, oh, I'm just saying, it's not real. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, what if, or how about, or that's the whole idea of having conversations with
that's
people.
because you're thinking, you're using your imagination. That is not allowed.
No, do what we've got to do. So what have you got anything coming up that you want to let any of the little people watching us? I think they're all dropping off now.
Yep,
I know that someone else has just gone live, so they've probably all popped over.
Yeah, about 2 hours from now, I'll be. We're going to try again on Sonny's channel. We're going to be over on, or I'm going to be over on Sonny's channel, Paranormal Chop Shop, where we're going to try this again to talk to Jim, talk about SR-71s and UFOs and ancient archaeology and things like that here tonight, at midnight tonight, Eastern time. And one last thing, since I am an astronomy nerd, if you're living in an area this weekend that's out away from city lights and there's no cloud cover, sit up and look at the stars a little bit, because this weekend will be the peak for the Perseids meteor shower. And on average, you'll probably see normal, because this is usually one of the bigger ones where it's usually forecast where you see about 100 an hour kind of a thing. But you'll certainly see a few for sure if you go out and spend a little time outside this weekend.
Oh, cool. I wonder if I can see him from all the way down here in Australia.
Oh yeah, it affects the whole planet. So yes.
Oh, cool. So all right, I'll have to have a look for that. That'd be awesome. I saw many years ago when I was little, I saw Halley's Comet.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you would have seen it too. I remember standing out, here it comes. And another thing, we got to stand outside.
I remember being very disappointed. It's like, oh, I thought it would be bigger and brighter. It's just a smudge in the sky.
And the other thing, around the same time, I remember standing outside, there was something, I can't remember what satellite it was, but there was a satellite that was, maybe it was coming in to crash. I can't remember what that was, though, but I certainly remember Halley's Comet, because then I obviously.
Oh, it was, I bet it was the Soviet space station Mir, because some of the debris rained down on Eastern Australia.
That's the one. Yes, that's it. And I also remember being excited about Halley's Comet because Bill Haley and the Comets. And for those younger ones, will go, who?
Did you get to see the Hale-Bopp comet in the 90s? That was, because that one was very bright. It was way better than Hale.
I probably did, because mostly when they say things, I just forget all the names. Halley's Comet, I don't forget, but I forget the names, but I will see things. Like, I love when they say, I'll go and look at the moon tonight, because it's going to be, I love seeing it when it's blood red like that.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I do like looking up into the stars. It's kind of relaxing. Just stare, and every now and then you might see a shooting star or whatever. But I'm still to hear, what's that noise that the Jetsons' little cars used to make, their little spaceships?
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear that and a little alien go, beep, beep. Come on.
I want to say hi. Stop shining that green laser at our face, though.
I'm not sure. I'll end this in a second, but I'm not sure. Sunsaver put up a comment when I said, I'm glad I'm not God, because he said he's glad I'm not God too, because he might be tempted to wring my neck for Maleficent, and allowing the aliens to totally F humanity. I don't think the aliens have got anything to do with humanity. Humanity is the problem.
We don't need help in doing that. We're good at messing our stuff up all on our own.
Yeah. Oh, Maisie, hang on. Oh, good. Thank you. Take 3. I keep missing it, Maisie. I'm not missing it. Bonnie Bridge, one of the busiest for UFO sightings in the world, and nearly 300 UFO sightings reported every year over the past 3 decades. I'm going to look it up, Maisie. Ooh. I'm going to look it up.
Have you seen anything, Maisie, while you're there?
Yeah. Maisie is very interesting. I want to meet Maisie one day when she's feeling better and when I can afford to go to Scotland. But yeah, that I think that'll be after this year when I go to Virginia City. I've been offered a job. And I've said to them I'm traveling in November though, so if you want me, you can have me, but I've got a month off, and then I'll need a few days to, recover jet lag. But yeah, I'll save up, and my plan is to go to Europe. Maisie, have either of you seen the you probably have. Have you
Right.
seen? I can never say it.
Well,
Aurora.
it's for the northern hemisphere, it's the aurora borealis. You, however, in the southern hemisphere, have the Australis borealis, which is the same thing, the same idea. But I have seen the aurora borealis many, many times. I was on a regular track where I would deploy to Alaska, and that's like and I was in the middle. I was around like where Fairbanks is, which is kind of in the middle of the state because Alaska's huge. And you're so far north up there that it's because normal, like from the States, anyone in the States, if you're going to see it, only if like you're in the very northern tier states under very specific conditions, you'll see a little glow kind of on the northern horizon a little bit. It's about as good as you're going to get. But if you travel further north than that latitude, you can very easily see it like in Scotland and Iceland. I've seen it there, and Alaska many times, where it's so big and so colorful. It looks like something that you would see under the ocean. It looks like it looks like a creature. It looks like it's alive, the way that it slowly moves.
Is there any? It's only light, isn't it? It's light.
Well, what it is it's charged particles from the sun that when they hit the Earth's magnetic field, it kind of goes to the two poles of the Earth. That's why you have your version and we have our version. And when they hit the very upper part of the atmosphere, they're charged particles, so they kind of start interacting with other particles in the atmosphere, and it creates these amazing lights. So it's super high. No airplane is going to be anywhere close to them or anything like that. So it's way, way up at the top.
Oh, but you can fly through it safely if you were in an airplane?
Oh yeah. If you were in an airplane, even at 40,000 feet, it'd still be way above your head. This is like in the 100,000 plus feet kind of thing. It's nowhere near your plane.
Well, yes, Sunsaber Enzo will be with the boys at the Chop Shop.
Yep.
In a couple of hours, and they're hoping to have John Goodall.
Jim Goodall literally wrote the book on Jim Goodall, where he literally wrote the book on the SR-71. He's also written books about some of the Navy's newest submarines. He's a historian by trade. That's what he did when he was in the Air Force. And through his talks with classified aircraft type stuff for the SR-71, he was rubbing elbows with a lot of people that's their job, is to create the next generation of super secret spy plane. And they've told him some stories that some of those UFOs we've seen, they're probably ours. Some of them. But very interesting man.
So Sunsaber, anyone go over there and have a cup of tea or whatever time it is at wherever you are, and rest up and
have some whiskey.
Yeah, go for it. Maisie says she's not sure if she's seen things, but because the RAF, the Royal Air Force, are nearby and they practice. So, well, it could have been anything. Usually, though, if it's RAF, you can hear they're noisy little buggers.
Yeah. You'll hear the sound. You'll see they'll have navigation beacons of some navigation lighting on their aircraft of some type. So usually there's a strobe of some type on there as well. So you see red and green lights and blinking stuff, it's probably a plane.
Yeah. I look at planes fly over because a lot of the aircraft fly over my house not often, but every now and then you'll get Qantas fly over heading towards the airport, and you sort of think, why can't you just be something interesting? I might go outside tonight and see if I can see anything. Sunsaver does have a question for you. Oh, not think. Enzo, do you think the black triangle you saw blocking the stars was ours?
I honestly don't know, because what I saw was different from a lot of other black triangle sightings, where a lot of black triangle sightings, the 3 points on the triangle have like a dimmer white light, and then a larger light in the center. What I saw had 0 lights at all. Could they have turned them off?
Because I would imagine like the stealth bomber and stuff when that was a thing. Do they still use the stealth?
Oh yeah.
Do they?
The B2, and I've seen the B2 many times, and it is the most distinguishing thing about it is loud. It is super loud. If that had been a B2 going over when I saw it, I'd have been holding my ears like this. It was very, very loud.
They might come and beam you up, Tanya. But if they do, tell them to come over and get me.
Yeah. Remember your friends, Tanya. We're tired of living here too.
Well, guys, I'm going to wind this up because I want Enzo to have a bit of a rest before he gets on and talks with the boys. I only ever come on with the intention of maybe being on for an hour. And
that's what I thought.
And then Enzo and I get chatting, and you guys bring up some interesting points, and then I don't shut up. And well, Enzo and I are as bad as each other, except I'm probably worse. Though I probably talk.
We feed off of each other.
Yeah, it's fun. Does anybody want to know anything else at all, or want me to look into anything? And because I can always use Enzo's brains through the week. I have this week. I've sent him a few things and said, "What do you think?" Because I don't know some of this stuff. Oh, if you do want to see what was that? Oh, we do have noise cancelling technology. Yeah, but I don't think anything would cancel the noise of the stealth. I think some.
Yeah, they certainly don't. And even like, the famous stealth helicopter that when it was on the Bin Laden raid, you can still kind of hear that. It just doesn't sound like a regular helicopter. It's much quieter.
Maisie, Enzo does not have a channel. Enzo
I have no channel.
Gets around. So if you want to see Enzo for a little bit more today, in a couple of hours, he'll be on
Paranormal Chop Shop.
Paranormal Chop
Suey. Chop something.
Yeah, chop suey. I love chop suey. Yeah, but Enzo's kindly agreed to come and say hello sometimes if he's available. I don't expect him to come, of course. I just I'll always send him an invitation and tell him I'm going live, and if he can come on and say hello, then great. If he can't, it's okay. We all have lives outside of the YouTube, but yeah, that's where, and so Enzo will be on the Paranormal Chop Shop in a couple of hours. He appears there. Where else do you appear, Enzo, or is that where else?
I was that one time I was abducted by aliens. Let's see, that is a show. That's a channel.
Is it?
Sometimes on that. It is. It's called That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens. Very long word, but. I show up there every once in a while. I've been on with Anthony from Unidentified S4, his show. Been on there a couple times, and I don't know. I just mostly just mooch off of my friends. It's usually sort of like what you did, where they kind of send a link out. It's like, hey, if you're not doing anything, stop by. It's like, okay, and I usually will. It's I'm just a smart ass from the chats back in the day, and somebody gave me a chance to be on air, and the rest is history.
It's fun sometimes. It's a good way to have a chin wag. But yeah, you guys know what I mean when I say chin wag, don't you? Because that's
I know what you mean.
Oh, cool. Because that's an English thing as well. Maisie, you know what I'm talking about. Well, thank you, everybody. Maisie, you stuck it out. And Dee, hello and goodbye. And Stephanie and S4. Oh, I thought you were making a statement. I know S4. What's S4?
Unidentified S4. Yeah, that's his channel.
Yeah.
Anthony, he's a retired New York Police Department guy. He's also done fire department work in northern New Jersey. he lives right on the coast. He lives on the beach in the general New York vicinity, and he has one of those Psionics color night vision cameras. He goes out to this beach and films stuff practically every night that is
Strange.
UFOs. They're literally unidentified. He and I have gotten into it a few times. Like, I'm pretty sure that's birds. No. It's like, no, look, he's flapping. Come on, man. We'll friendly banter back and forth. But he certainly has caught a lot of stuff that's for sure anomalous, not easily
I'm
explained.
just looking behind you, Enzo.
What's going on back there?
Yeah, can you see that?
He's throwing ice out. He's cleaning out. They've closed up shop here at the bar, and they're emptying out the ice chest, just chucking it into the. Oh, see, now we got to look. He dumped the whole thing out. Yeah, I'll slide out of the way.
At first, I thought, it was a body being thrown over the bar. And then I thought, what is he chucking?
This is a live feed from St. John Virgin Islands, and it's hard to tell what you'll see on here sometime.
I've just got to, no, don't leave. It's me, Slorpy. Slorpy is one of my daughter's friends and my friend, maybe. And I wore this. Can you see the T-shirt, Slorp?
Yeah. What is that?
The kids. There's internet kids, the rich ones, the ones that have got like 10 billion followers, whatever you call it. There was a young man named Technoblade, and he had a channel, and it was mainly Slorp. Oh, hello, Sunny Sock. That's my daughter. I'll get them to explain, if you would, in the chat, Sunny Sock, if I get this wrong. Okay. So Technoblade was a young man. He had, I can't remember what the cancer was, but he had cancer. But he was played Minecraft on the YouTube, and of course he got very popular and lots of followers, etc. And then there's another boy called Tommy. I don't know Tommy's last name, I've gone blank, but Tommy Innit is his handle. There was a whole heap of kids, and they all came together on this Minecraft thing and made money, and my kids watched them like they liked them. Well, anyway, Techno passed away not long ago. And so his father keeps up his channel, so to speak. Oh, well, not really. He's got his own channel. Dad, what's the channel? Technoblades. I think it's called Technoblade's Dad or something. Tom Simons. Thank you, Slorp. Technoblade's Dad or something like that is his channel. So he raises money to fight girls. What's the cancer that he had? It's some rare friggin' horrible thing, but he died when Techno Dad, thank you, Sunny Sock. He died, Technoblade died when he was 21, 22. So very sad. So this T-shirt is a Tommy Innit design on Technoblade's for Technoblade, and I bought one, and it helps with the raise funds for the cancer awareness.
That's sweet.
Yeah, he was 22, and it was last summer. Oh, was it so your summer? So last, yeah. Oh, all right, almost a year ago he passed away. But yeah, so that's Sunny Sock is my daughter. Slorp is my daughter's friend, who's also my friend, aren't you, Slorp? And I've asked Enzo, before I go, everybody, I've asked Slorp and Sunny Sock and another youngster, 4K Fish, to come along and maybe have a little chat with me one day. They can come on, and they don't have to show their faces, but I would like to actually talk to them. Two of them live in America, and of course Sunny Sock is here with me in her room, but talk to them and sort of ask them what they think about the paranormal and all this UFO stuff from a younger person's perspective.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, so I said, we'll call it something. I told them to come up with a name for the segment. I'll make it a little segment, and they can come on and have a little chatter and talk about that. But yeah, that's what my T-shirt is.
Feel like
No,
I'm thinking like Paranormal, The Next Generation, or something like that.
that's pretty cool. And then I could do little pictures of Trek uniforms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. Oh, and Sunny's saying lots of cool ideas. But yeah, so
I'll have to admit, I was at Contact in the Desert earlier this year, and I was not surprised at the number of people, like, I'm 55, that were like my age and up. Was the majority of the people at the conference. But I was genuinely surprised that like about 20 to 25% were much younger, like in their early 20s. I was genuinely shocked. Some of the ladies were quite fetching. I'll need to go hit the gym if I decide to go back to that. No, I'm kidding, of course. I'm never going to the gym. But
really, our future's in the hands of our kids.
Exactly.
Oh, God help me, actually, to think that my child might be responsible for humanity going forward. But they're good kids. They're good kids.
Yes.
And even like little channels like this, when I watch them, and I have watched them, I sit down with my daughter and I watch these younger ones with their channels, their channels are kind of full of nonsense and silliness, but it's okay. It's fun. It's just silly to watch, and it's fun. And they're good kids. Like, they're not spouting anything evil or nasty or telling people to do stupid things. It's just good fun, and they're all kind to each other. So I think if our lives are in the hands of our kids going forward, hopefully the majority will be like that. not so much the ones you always not all the ones you see on the TikTok that say stupid things, not them ones, but like I've got hope for humanity. I think going forward it'll be okay. As my daughter's just said, my daughter said humanity should be grateful to be in my hands. Okay. We'll see. But yeah, so hopefully they might do that with me sometime during the week, and because I'd like to ask them what they think about aliens and bits and bobs like that, because I've never really, as you say, it's usually people our age and older that are sort of all into this, but I'd like to know what their feelings are on it. So we'll see. Yeah, we need fun. Yeah, we need fun. That's the whole point. Like, there's too much like the world is depressing enough. We need something to laugh at. Like, keep in mind the world, we've got to look after it, but just still have a laugh, have some fun. But there you go. Well, on that, I'll end it on Little Slorp's comment. Yeah, me and Sunny will save the world. Don't worry about it.
It's your world to save if you were brave enough to take it.
That's right. Your mission, should you choose to take it. All right, Enzo, I'll say goodbye, and I'll say goodbye to everybody in Slorp for President. I'll say goodbye to everybody, Debbie, Diabolical Debbie, and Slorp. I'll talk to you soon. And yeah, I love you lots, everybody, and be good, be kind, and be safe, and say hello to a homeless person every now and then. Doesn't hurt. See you guys, and